welcome back to Blanche Case Fitness. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for Jump Around, our weekly cardio class, and I almost forgot my own tagline just then. Oh man, hello. It's raining again. It's beautiful. Such wonderful springtime weather. I'm loving it so much. It's not raining heavily right now, just like, sprinkling, but you're going to hear a lot. As long as this weather continues, you're going to hear a lot about this from me because I am a fan of whenever it rains here. Hi, everybody. I hope that your week is going well. I have to say I am very much looking forward to my rest week next week. I have, frankly have blown past the point where I should have taken the rest week, which is another reason why I'm going to be scheduling this stuff much more deliberately going forward, because I don't want to hit this point where I'm just feeling really run down. Like my shoulder is hurting a lot today, and that happens so rarely, and it's generally a sign of me being kind of run down and just tired. So I'm looking forward to that, but I'm also looking forward to today because this is going to be our last time doing any of the April Powers programming for a while, because we may be in May now, but this is our week to go back through and do the week 1 version of all the programs and just compare how you feel on them now to how you felt on them when I introduced the programs back at the beginning of April. So this is my favorite part, honestly, of doing the month-long programming, and I hope that you're enjoying it too. I hope you're enjoying it too, because it's a really cool opportunity to just see what you've achieved and see, what you still want to work on too, and we can learn both of those things. Woo! Anyway, oh my goodness. But yeah, it's been a good day. It's been a long week, and I've been very worn, very worn out, which frustrating is not the word I want to use, but it is the emotion that I'm feeling. Like, it's just, when you have stuff you want to be doing, but you don't have the energy for it, and you know that you need to take some sort of a rest in order to rebuild that energy. Like, I understand that frustration. I'm feeling it right now, and there can definitely, especially be situations quite frequently where we feel like we're just starting to ramp up and achieve something that we've been going for a while, but because we haven't been paying attention to our energy reserves previously, no sooner do we start to build that up, then we hit that wall that goes, hey, you need a break, you need to rest. And yeah, it is really frustrating, honestly. And again, is another reason why I, for myself, want to start really deliberately scheduling and not just, plowing forward until my body and brain make it unavoidable for me to notice that I need a break, because that's never what I would want you to do. And that's certainly, I tell you all the time to build regular rest into your schedules. And if you've been struggling with that, I want you to understand that I understand. I know how hard it is, and for a variety of reasons. There are tons of reasons why we struggle to build rest into our schedules and honor the rest built into our schedules, because that's the other component, right? It's easy for me to schedule a rest week, but that's only half the process. The other half of the process is getting to that rest week and going, no, I'm actually going to take this rest. I know I feel like I have enough energy. I know I've come up with about 50 different reasons why I don't need a rest week, but I said I was going to do it. I'm going to honor that. I'm going to honor my body's need for rest. I'm going to honor my brain's need for rest, and I am going to hold. We really struggle at doing that a lot. So I'm going to talk about this a lot this week, and potentially on like Instagram stories next week. So I won't be, on the Twitch channel, but I won't be disappearing from the internet forever. But I'm going to talk about this a lot because it is hands down the biggest thing that we all struggle with. And part of it comes from just most of us were trained fitness-wise in environments that either just didn't talk about the importance of rest or actively campaigned against it. I think I've told this story on the stream before, but someone I used to work with, she did gymnastics when she was in like middle school, and she remembers being told by a coach that if she went more than 3 days without training, that her muscles would start to atrophy, which is just the most blatantly false bullshit I have ever heard in my life. I was infuriated when I heard this. But this is what happens all too frequently when we are learning how to be active, when we are learning different activities that we enjoy, different types of movement, different types of fitness. Far too frequently, it comes with teachers who are training us to ignore our need for rest, ignore, our body and brain's health and safety in favor of, this capitalistic, must keep improving at any cost. And it really frustrates me. And, clearly I'm still deprogramming some of that. It runs deep. It runs deep. So this will be a part of our work, of our, of the things that we need to learn and unlearn over the course of our fitness journey. And don't worry, there's still plenty to learn, I don't know if you were worried about running out of things to learn here, but you do not need to worry about running out of things to learn here. Also, this is going to be the last stream with all this freaking hair, and I'm so relieved. I get a haircut on Friday. So that'll be done before I need to teach, I think. Oh my God. I didn't even think about that timing. Hopefully my haircut will be done on Friday so that I can get home in time to teach class at 6. If I need to push class slightly later, I apologize. We will get class done one way or the other. But as much as I love you, and as important as it is to teach, I am not moving this appointment because I need to get about 20 pounds of hair off of the top of my head. Because I have both thick hair strands, like my individual hairs are very thick, and then I just have a lot of hair. And so it is, quite frankly, a pretty significant weight on the top of my head. And is probably one of the reasons why I've always preferred shorter hair. Because it's just I can feel it. It's weighing me down. My hair is weighing me down. And if your hair is weighing you down, and you live in the Boulder, Denver area, then, message me because I've got a stylist recommendation. Definitely. But okay, my friends. So today we're going back to week 1 of April Powers, which is going to be super fun. It's all going to be 20-second work intervals, 10-second rest intervals. So we're really taking it back to that classic and just seeing how you feel with all of the stuff that we have been working on over the last 4 weeks. Well, this is our 5th week now. So I'm excited. I know it's going to be a little different for me than I had hoped because obviously I had a variety of things sort of getting in the way of full ramping up over the course of last month. And we talked about how that's okay and how our goals can and should change as our needs change. But it's still a fun class. Regardless of anything else, this is a class I really enjoy. So I think we're gonna have fun with that. But let's do our pre-class checklist, my friends. So we've got our water in whatever vessel you are using. I'm a little better hydrated today, so that's good. We got our comfy clothes, whatever that means to you. We've got our mat or mat-sized space on the floor. And if you use a fitness wearable, now is the time to turn them on to a high-intensity interval training setting. If you don't use a fitness wearable, don't worry about it. It's a completely optional tool. And, you know, for some people, it's super useful. And for other people, it's a pain in the neck. You know, obviously, anyone who's been taking class with me long enough knows that accessibility is my big thing. And quite frankly, I want everybody to know that it is possible to get really awesome workouts with no specialized equipment that's more in depth than a yoga mat, which at this point you can get a freaking Target, you know. But yeah, like moisture wicking clothing is not a requirement. Fitness wearables are not a requirement. And as you develop in your fitness work, if you get to a point where you're like, oh, okay, I think that this tool would be useful for me now, that's great, go for it. But especially when you're starting off, you don't buy things that you're not sure you're going to have a use for. You know, don't buy things just because you're like, well, this is what you're supposed to have to work out. There are very few things that you actually need to have to work out. And we've got them all here. And that speaker is on. I always have to double check now because of that class last week where I had totally forgotten to turn it on. Let's warm up, my friends. Hiya! Oh, God. Yep. Creak. Roan. Carefully over here. I'm going to be... I'm just feeling all sorts of twinges and fun things this week, so I'm going to be paying attention and probably just ramping down in general over the course of the week in preparation for rest week. But we're on our mats, on our backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee, and as soon as that horn goes, we begin with hip rocks and bridges. Here we are. Hiya. Yeah, I definitely have been feeling just a lot of weird bits, you know, weird sore bits, weird tensions bits that I'm not used to feeling, and that is generally a really good sign that you have not rested enough recently, particularly if you're feeling things that you don't usually encounter, you know, like when I start feeling pain in my shoulder, okay, well, I haven't felt, you know, the level of pain that I've had today for a while, but it's also a known issue, and there is information to be found there, but it's not like there are plenty of other potential reasons I could be stressed about something in the rest of my life. You know, I could have just not gotten enough sleep last night. I could have slept on it weird. But when I start getting, I had a weird twinge in one of my obliques yesterday, and that is not part of my injury map. That is not something that I have ever experienced before. And so that was a really big moment of, okay, my body's definitely needing some rest to the point where it's starting to send pain signals or distress signals through areas that don't usually send those signals. And so that is, it's useful information, absolutely. And it can definitely, it can tell us, oh, okay, need to take a rest week. But it's also better if we are scheduling our rest weeks such that we don't get to that point where our bodies are sending us those really active distress signals, warning signals, okay? I would much rather not encounter this because I'm just resting as a matter of course, and really being very deliberate about that. And so, you know, it is certainly a way to do it. Waiting until you start to get those signals, but it's not one I recommend because also it requires you to be really honest with yourself about what you're experiencing and about what the cause is. And when we haven't been trained to pay attention to those signals, or worse, have been actively trained to ignore or downplay those signals, then we can't necessarily immediately trust that we will notice or that we will identify it correctly if we do. So yeah, this year I want us all, and I'm gonna, you know, model the behavior to the best of my ability, but I want us all to really commit to valuing rest as an integral part of fitness and exercise, okay? And I want us to stick to that. I want us to get to the end of the year and be like, yeah, this is my, you know, this is my cycle. Here's where I take my my rest weeks, and you know, this is it's a non-negotiable. You know, I don't ever let myself get to that week and then go, oh, but you know, everybody wants to run a half marathon. I'm sure that'll be okay, right? Even though it's supposed to be my rest week. I don't want us doing that. Not at all. So that is something that I'm going to be working on, and I want to invite you all to come on that journey with me because it is definitely an area where all of us can use some help and some support. And keeping in mind too that when we talk about rest weeks, we are not saying that all you get to do is sit on the couch all day. You can't even move, okay? So for my rest week next week, I'm still going to be taking my daily walks. That is a nice low impact exercise that I can do. That's not going to have huge impact on my joints, my muscles, and will allow me to get a little movement in without, you know, taking away from the point of the rest week. So, you know, there are low impact things that we can still do during our rest weeks that are, you know, going to give us those little bursts of movement. And that's one of the reasons why building walking into my regular schedule is something that I'm really focused on right now, because that means that when I get to my rest weeks, I will already have that in place. You know, I will have that in place to be like, okay, cool. You know, I'm just not going to, you know, do anything more strenuous than demonstrate exercises in class, but I am still going walking every day, and I don't really have to even think about it because that's just a part of my process now. And so that's going to be really helpful, you know, because it helps to reduce some of that, like, you know, mental worry about, oh no, but will I be able to start back up? It's like, of course you will, and you're already maintaining an exercise, you know, so you will absolutely be able to start back up. So yeah, there's me recommending walking, as I always do, because walking is awesome, and just such a beautiful way to move through the world. And that's assuming you live somewhere where you have access to safe walking spaces, you know, good sized sidewalks, good pedestrian walkways and signage and signals, or, you know, trails like we have here in Boulder. So, you know, keeping that in mind, and it's an important thing to keep in mind. It's an area, of inequality that we don't necessarily think of nearly as much as we should. And, you know, so it's very easy for me to be like, oh yeah, just roll out your door and go for a walk. And I want to make it clear that I understand that not everybody has that privilege. And it is a privilege. So if you do have that privilege and that ability, then take advantage of it, my friends. And build out that walking habit. And some of you may already have it, because, you know, some of you may just already be walking daily, and that's awesome. Keep doing it. You inspire me. I'm gonna keep on working on it, and I'm really excited. Really excited to keep that going. But yes, we want to build out our understanding of low impact stuff that we can do in a rest week that is not going to derail the purpose of the rest week, right? Because the overall purpose is giving our bodies and our brains a break, letting them relax, letting them heal any, you know, small injuries or burgeoning injuries before they become actual problems for us. That's our goal. And we want to make sure, no matter what, that is achieved during our rest week. So you start with that expectation, and then you figure out where you want to go from there. But yeah, my rest week is going to be pretty much just walking, I think, and I'm looking forward to it. And, you know, looking forward to having a little bit of a quick break from the streams. And I love the streams, don't get me wrong. This is so much fun, and I clearly intend to be doing this for a while. But it's also a lot of energy, you know? It takes a lot of mental and emotional energy to get on camera and to be talking the whole time and exercising the whole time and interacting with people and chat and moderating and all that stuff. Like, it takes a lot. And, you know, it's one of those things, and this isn't news, but it's one of those things that I know streamers struggle with is, you know, like our YouTube brethren before us, siblings before us, struggling with, you know, the algorithms that are constantly pushing us to just keep generating, keep being online, keep sharing more of yourself, and our very human needs to have time that is for ourselves and not for everybody on the internet. And I'm really lucky, you know, because I'm still a very small streamer, so I don't feel that pressure on me. You know, at this point, I am building this stream based on my preferences and my needs. And, you know, I have a wonderfully supportive community that understands that and supports that. And what I really want to do is make sure that I've built out that discipline and that commitment to caring for myself before I ever get to a place where I have to worry about, you know, larger viewer counts or more of those stressors. Like, this is the perfect time for me to build this out and to build out these expectations for myself so that even as I, you know, grow as a channel, I still am taking my, you know, rest weeks where I just teach and demonstrate and don't do class, and I'm still scheduling, you know, a good cadence of full breaks from the channel, and just always reminding myself that that is totally okay, and that even though the internet gods wish to be presented with a sacrifice 24/7, 365, I do not have to give into that, you know? And it is, you know, it's something where I count myself very fortunate to still be a small creator. I'm not depending on this stream for my primary source of income. And so I really don't even have that as a major stress point. And, you know, I just really want to make sure that I am taking care of myself this whole way and not going, okay, well, I can, you know, let my rest weeks sort of reduce in number. That's fine, right? Like, no, I want to make sure that I'm always taking care of myself. So that I can continue to give y'all awesome classes for as long as possible, as long as Twitch exists, I guess. So, yeah, obviously, this is a big thing on my mind right now, because this is only going to be the second, like, I am fully off the channel break that I've taken since I started streaming, honestly. And, you know, the last one that I took was sadly not as restful and restorative as I had hoped it would be. And that was for a variety of reasons, most of them completely unrelated to the channel. But hopefully this time around, I'm going to be able to achieve more with my rest. All right, we are warmed up. Yeah. Okay, water. Much better. Water, always important. Oh, okay. Okay. So, there's actually a lot of content in here, which was easy for me to sort of downplay for a while because we had to keep cutting things out as we were extending the intervals. So we are back to the full program, and there's a lot of exercises in here. So just, are you ready? I think I'm ready. But they're all 2010 Tabatas. And they're all 2 exercises. We just go back and forth. So our first 2. Our first 2 exercises. Nope. That's not what I wanted. Shoot. There we go. Our first 2 exercises, we have high knee runs. Dun, dun, dun. I'm not going to demonstrate too much because, again, we've been doing this for over a month. And turtle planks. Up on the shoulders, up on the feet, back to the plank, jump forward, and repeat. So, yeah, those are 2. And we've only got 20 seconds. So, you know, that's not a lot of time. So we can push ourselves a little bit more. That sound did not mean go. That was our rest sound. That's our get ready sound. And hey! So trying to get those knees up above the crease in the hips. All right, so up like this. And barring that, getting them up as high as you can. Okay? So, just something to keep in mind, because we want to always remember that I'm going to demonstrate, you know, the goal way to perform the exercise, but there are plenty of reasons why we may not be there yet. You know, and it may just be that you are still working towards that, or you may have something on your injury map, or just some other component of your physicality that makes it impossible to do this exact version. And that's why we provide modifications, because this exact version is not the be-all and end-all. And if I ever, you know, demonstrate an exercise and don't dig into a modification, never be afraid to ask me in chat, okay? Or, you know, anywhere else on my socials, because, you know, these are the questions that I absolutely want to answer for you, because it's important. It's super important that we remember that we can and should modify exercises to fit our personal needs, our body's needs. And your body's needs are not necessarily going to be in line with my own. So I do try to talk about modifications as much as I can, but definitely don't ever hold back from shooting me a question about that if there's something I haven't deliberately mentioned that you're wondering about, okay? Because this is how we build our own information about our body's needs. And we want to have all that information for ourselves so that we are as safe as possible as we move through the world. And when we try new things, you know, going into a new activity, having a clearer understanding of what we can and can't do. All right, water. Yep. So that was the first one. Only 6 more sets to go. Wow. Man, when you're only doing 20-second work intervals, so these are, 4-minute timers. When you're only doing a 4-minute timer, you can fit so many slaps top of class. This baby can hold so many 4-minute timers. All right. So, our next set of exercises, we've got our side-to-side mat jumps. So, starting on one side of the mat, I'm standing on the leg that's front is going to be the same side as the mat. So if I'm on the left side of my mat, I'm on my left leg. And I've crossed my other leg behind me, but I'm really putting all of my weight on this front leg, and it's generating all of the power to jump to the other side. I can tap my fingers against the mat if I need for balance, and then back again. So we've got that, and we've got push-ups, and our push-ups can be wall, incline off of furniture. We can do our standard plank push-up from the knees. We can do our wave push-ups. The main things, shoulders directly over wrists and keeping those elbows glued in by the sides the whole time, not letting them fan out away from you, okay? So there we are. We've got our side-to-side mat jumps and our push-ups. And with push-ups in particular, I generally stress a ton that yes, you can do whichever version makes the most sense to you. No, I do not have a preference, and no, I do not think that one of these versions is inherently better than the other, okay? So, I came of age primarily in the 90s, and I can think of so many 90s teen comedies that were just always so judgmental about doing push-ups from the knees, and oh, it's the weaker version, and oh, it's the, girly version, because in the 90s we loved to use that as a pejorative. And it's bullshit, okay? It is utter crap, and I want you to remember that. You are absolutely working your ass off just as much with push-ups from the knees as with push-ups from a plank, as with push-ups from the wall. And again, we make modifications based on our physical needs, and it is critical that you always feel comfortable making those modifications and not judging yourself, not, shaming yourself. Because remember, we are all taking class in our homes. We don't have to worry about other people watching or judging or any crap like that, because we are, I'm all one in this room. Nobody else is watching this class. except for, you know, the people online. But you know, yeah, we don't have to worry about that fear of judgment, which, you know, can definitely play into people's experiences in physical gyms. And I understand. I absolutely do. Wow, almost ran into the wall there. And so, you know, it's another thing that I love about doing class via Twitch like this, is it just opens up a whole new degree of accessibility to people who might, you know, might never feel comfortable taking this class in person, but are willing to give it a chance from the comfort of their own living room or basement or what have you. So, hooray for accessibility. And that is definitely a huge reason why I intend to keep teaching these classes as long as I can. All right. Woo! How we doing with our water? Getting good water. Hydrating ourselves. So important. And now, of course, there's hardly any clouds in the sky. It's been such a fascinating day weather-wise. It really has just been going back and forth from like beautifully sunny to spring rain. And I kind of love it. I have to say. All right, next set. Going back to the turtles, this time turtle jumps. So rock up on the feet and jump and back down. All right, and then our other exercise is shramps. So moving back and forth along our mats. First move shoulders, then hips, shoulders, then hips, shoulders, then hips. And then when you hit the end of your mat, you turn around, not literally, and go back the way you came. All right? So, yes. Oh, wow, look at that. I was done so quickly with that explanation. Usually I'm like, oh God, gotta get the timer started. All right, well, I think that vamped enough time. It's really the main skill that you learn as a Twitch streamer is vamping, basically, which is good because, you know, as an actor and someone who's had to do various sort of public speaking related things, vamping is also a skill you learn there. So what I'm saying is streaming is a very transferable skill to a lot of other stuff that I do or have done in my life. All right, now for our shrimps. Remember, if you are still working on shrimps, because there's a lot of body part isolation that you have to be able to do, and that can be hard if you're not trained to it. So if you need to, just start with these small boat rocks and then just visualize every time the shoulders come up, moving them to the side. Every time the hips come up, moving them to the side. That is a great way to start and train yourself for shrimps. So if you find yourself like turning in a circle a lot as you try to do your shrimps, definitely feel free to just take a step back and do those boat rocks but actively visualize the goal. Visualization is a super useful tool as we're learning new exercises, okay? So I may not be able to translate an exercise into my own body right away, but I can start with just activating my brain and activating my imagination and being like, okay, this is what it should feel like when I'm doing that exercise. This is what it should feel like when I get to this particular part. And you'd be surprised how useful that is as a tool, particularly because if there's an exercise that you are struggling with, and you're just continually sort of throwing yourself up against that wall, and then still not feeling like you're getting it, and then you're just getting more and more frustrated, and then you're just feeling demoralized, and it absolutely gets in the way of your being able to figure out the movement, and very understandably. So if you're feeling that for anything, you know, this is an example I pull out frequently, but for any exercise, if you are feeling that, like, I just don't know how to do this movement, then stop trying to immediately translate it into physical action. Start just visualizing, or start with focusing in on one component, okay? So the boat rock component of shrimps, people can generally do that, and that's a good starting place, and it gets some movement involved, and then you can start translating that in your head to, okay, if I was doing the full version, when my shoulders came off the ground, I would want to move them that way or that way, and same thing with my hips, all right? Our brains are powerful tools in this thing called exercise. All right, so next set. Hiya. First thing is our jump ropes. And yes, if you don't have a jump rope, you can still do this exercise, because we're just going to mimic it. And yes, I do want you to be holding an imaginary jump rope and rotating your arms as if you are swinging it. And just jump in like that. It's nice to do it this way though, because you're not in danger of whapping it against your toes. And then the other exercise is our turtle burpee. So rock onto feet, back to that plank. We do the wave push-up, feet forward, jump, and repeat. Okay, so we're sort of combining the two versions of the turtle that we've already done into a single exercise. All right, so jump ropes and turtle burpees. And again, first sound does not mean go. Yes, I do sometimes remind you of that, because yes, sometimes we just blank out in that moment, and then we hear a sound and we go, oh, all right, I need to be moving. And then we go, oh, damn it, I wasn't actually supposed to be moving. But it feels silly to stop and then start a couple of seconds later. So, and when I say everyone has done that, I mean, absolutely everyone. I've absolutely done that on plenty of occasions. So, there we go. But they become fewer the longer you take class, because you learn the importance of rest, how critical our rest periods are as a component of these classes. So, yeah, we always want to give a shout out to rest, because it is just as important both in and out of class as the actual movements themselves are. All right. Woo! How's everybody doing? All righty. Here we go. I definitely felt my energy ramp up a bit more as I've been going, which is always a really nice thing to feel. And we talk about that a lot, right? One of the reasons why we want to make sure that the warm-up is truly a warm-up and not an immediate dive into intense movement is that is the period of time in particular when we're notifying our muscles that they need to ramp up energy production, okay? And so during the course of the warm-up, they start breaking down more of the fuel source and transforming them into usable forms of energy. And so if you're coming into class and feeling a bit tired, a bit worn down, then it's really good to take it particularly easy during the warm-up itself and give the muscles the chance to ramp up those processes without then immediately using up the new stores of energy, right? And once you've done that, then suddenly you have all this extra energy floating around that you didn't have before you started. And that's why frequently we can feel that pump up of energy after the warm-up. So yeah, that is an important component and a good thing to remind ourselves of too, you know, because again, talking about frustration, it can feel really frustrating when you get on the mat and you're like, I just don't feel like I have the energy that I want. And sometimes that's just where you're at, and that's fine. But always give yourself that chance, you know? Let yourself ramp up over the course of the warm-up and see how you feel as class goes on. And frequently, not always, but frequently, you will get out of the warm-up and do, you know, the first set and be like, oh, okay, I actually have a little more energy now than I did previously. And that's always really exciting. All right. Woo! Okay, our next set. Man, we've got mountain climbers. We haven't done those in a couple of classes. So from our plank position and making sure the shoulders stay directly over the wrists And the butts stay flat and not in the air the whole time, all right? And then we have our bicycles. So engaging and contracting the abdominals to lift shoulders and chest off the ground. One knee in, other leg extended but off the ground. Opposite elbow to knee, and switch, and switch, and switch. And those are our exercises. All right, let's get going. I was talking a lot yesterday about how I wish I had a better way to not have to cut so many things out of the base program as the weeks progress, because we haven't actually done mountain climbers in the last 2 weeks, I think, at least, because I needed to pull things out for time-related reasons. And, you know, so I'm realizing that we didn't get the full amount of time to really work on them. And I don't have a great answer yet. It may be something around ratcheting down the amount of warm-up time as the month goes on. So maybe not doing the full warm-up so that we have that time still available to us. But how? What the heck? Yeah, I tell you, my friends, yeah, my body is crying out for a rest week right now. And it's frustrating because I've known this since about week 2 of April Powers. But of course, you know, I was not going to stop in the middle of our programming. So next time I will make sure to plan rest before April Powers. So I'm probably not going to do the mountain climbers right now just because I'm getting weird twinges. But for our mountain climbers, the base position is this front plank. And we want to keep this no matter how much we're moving. So the things that we tend to do are sort of push back against the hands. So you see my shoulders are not directly over my wrists. And that then starts pushing our butts up into the air as well. So things to really think about as you're doing mountain climbers. And if you ever feel that shift, you're like, oh, I'm pushing backwards, I can feel my butt going up in the air, then start by just pushing the butt back down to that plank position, and that will reset everything, okay? That will reset the shoulders, because if I'm here, I don't need to start by pulling myself forward with my shoulders. I just start by pushing my butt back down, and there I am, back in the position I wanted to be in. So, yeah, lots of tips. And again, the goal isn't have perfect form 100% of the time, because that is not achievable for anyone, no matter how long you've been doing this, no matter how many years you've been training. That is not an achievable goal. The goal is in decreasing the amount of time between starting to lose the form and noticing that you're starting to lose the form, and then decreasing the amount of time between noticing and fixing or doing something else to change what's happening, okay? So we are never striving for perfect. Perfect is the enemy of good. Perfect is an unattainable standard. That is not our goal, but we we cannot achieve perfect form all the time, but we can absolutely train ourselves to get better at noticing, okay? It's a similar principle to meditation, based on my limited studies in that area. You know, the goal is not to have a mind completely clear of thoughts, because that's unattainable. The goal is to notice when you're chasing after that thought cloud and to bring your mind back to the present. And it's the same thing with exercise, with these types of activities. We're not ever going to be perfect in our form the whole time, but we can get much better at noticing more quickly and at fixing it, or reducing intensity, or modifying the exercise, or stopping completely, okay? We talk about all of that a lot because it's all so important. All right. Okay, next set. We've got our flying chickens and our front superheroes, both old standbys, flying chickens right there, and our front superheroes here on the ground. And this has been the set that we've been ending class with for the last couple of weeks. This is not going to be the final set today, just to keep you apprised of the situation. But you know what you're about, you know what it looks like, you know the fun that's in store. Thumbs at chest height, put them behind your bra straps if you wear a bra. Engage your core so that you can pull all those limbs back to the center as quickly as possible and as cleanly as possible, and so that we can stay basically in the same position on the mat the whole time. So we're not bopping around to all different sections of the mat. Woo! Here we are for our front superheroes. Remember, exhaling on the effort is something we talk about a ton, and something that I'm not necessarily always able to demonstrate because I am trying to talk at you the whole time, but it is a very useful tool. So it becomes a little different with something like this, which is just pure cardio. And so I'm not necessarily trying to find a specific point in the flying chicken when I want to exhale. I just want to, breathe as quickly as possible. But for exercises that have a little bit more of a clear rhythm, for here's the effort and down, here's the effort and down. That exhale is a super useful tool. All right, halfway through. Gotta love it, gotta love it. And checking back in. So remembering that every time we start a set, we check in on our form. Doesn't matter if this is the first set or the 5th set or the 20th set, okay? We want our form to be just as good right now as it was at the very beginning. And particularly as we move through class, we get more overall fatigue, and we have to pay more attention, because doing flying chickens here at almost the very end of class is quite different from doing them just after the warm-up when we've still got all that energy available to us. So just keep in mind that the farther we move through class, the more important it becomes to check in on your form and to check in more frequently, okay? Because that becomes the thing that we start to lose track of as we get tired. And one of the ways that we know we are improving is when we can maintain the form longer even as we're getting more tired. That is a really clear signal that your strength's improving, your stamina's improving, and you're generally awesome. But you're awesome no matter where you are in this journey. So yeah, basically, rock on, you're awesome. All right, we got one more set. And anyone who actually took week 1 knows what it is, or may vaguely remember what it is. Week 1 was a long time ago, and time has no meaning, so you may not remember that we did this at all. Hey, we did a burpees set in week 1. Do you remember that? Yeah, so we did just traditional burpees, the way that we do them in the warm-up, and that was the only exercise. We didn't alternate it. So our final set is a 20-10. It's 4 minutes, so it's 8 repetitions total, just like everything else we've done today, but it's one exercise, and that exercise is burpees, okay? So this is our last set. This is our opportunity to use up all the remaining energy. We don't have anything else that we need to save it for. So we're gonna come into the set. We're gonna leave it all on the mat. We can see the finish line, and then we're gonna stretch, and that's gonna be really awesome. All right, so everybody, you've gotten some water, you've had a little rest, you're coming back to your mats. First sound does not mean go. And it's nice to do burpees in Tabata because we don't have to keep going for a full minute. We're just doing 20 seconds worth for, 8 times. I can count, really, I promise I can. Make sure you're doing that nice big victory clap up at the top, and you're doing a wave push-up, always a wave push-up, no matter what, no matter whether you're really just feeling that plank push-up today, does not matter, is not the exercise, okay? So always a wave push-up for our burpees. Okay, it's very different doing a set with just the one exercise. We don't have that same degree of variation to make the time feel like it's going faster. So we really just need to hunker down and focus everything we have on these burpees. And they should be pretty familiar to you because, again, we do them every single class. And remember too, I rarely get to talk about the form on them because I don't usually do that in the warm-up anymore. But when we're jumping back into the plank and then jumping the feet forward, we are managing the movement of our body weight with our shoulders. So our shoulders need to be really strong and stable that whole time, okay? We don't want them wobbling around. because we've got to be able, so I go here and then I jump forward, and it's engagement in my shoulders that helps me to pull those legs forward, okay? So just something to keep in mind. If you struggle with burpees or find them frustrating, that may be a signal that you should look into some more shoulder strengthening exercises. And let me tell you, for myself, doing my PT exercises for my shoulder issue has revolutionized my relationship to all of these exercises that really depend on that shoulder strength. So if that's something you've noticed, then that may be something to work on. All right, my friends, we are coming up on our last set. Our cheerleaders are out next to your mat, next to your computer, your TV, wherever you're watching this stream. They're doing their best floor routines. They're throwing their pom-poms everywhere because you have made it through an hour of class. You have pushed yourself. You have challenged yourself. You have done incredible work. And now you're going to get to take that energy and that knowledge of your badassery and do whatever else you need to do with it. Yeah! Good job, everybody. Holy crap. Okay. Let's stretch, shall we? I appear to already be on the mat, so let's do our quad stretches. Everybody's favorite, for the leg that's working, we fold it so that the heel is on the outside of the hip, but then it's pulled as close to the hip as you can manage. And the other leg, we just let the knee open up. We're not really worried about it going anywhere. And now we are going to slowly lower our torsos backwards, only as far as we need to get a really intense stretch in the quad. So that could be here, that could be here, and that could be all the way down here, or, you know, anywhere else in that continuum. Once you get to that place, take a second to settle in. Make sure that you're breathing. You're not trying to clench your quads. Okay, you want them nice and lengthened and relaxed to the best of your ability. And now we're going to take 4 deep breaths. Each time you inhale, visualize that oxygen going straight to the place where you're feeling the most intensity of sensation. Each time you exhale, just try and sink a little bit more deeply into the stretch. So here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. And now slowly, carefully, back up to seated. Don't move this leg under its own power. Take one hand to the knee, one hand to the ankle. Manually unfold it in front of you. And then bring the other leg to meet it. Shake those knees out. Flex the feet and point and flex and point. Circle the ankles in one direction and then the other direction. All right, and now other side. All the same notes about getting into position. And remember, we let ourselves down slowly so that we don't accidentally have our brain send a signal to the quad that says, hey, you need to contract this muscle, okay? Because we want the muscle to be able to lengthen. And if we accidentally send that signal down, that is not what's going to happen. All right, so everybody's reached their stretch point, and we're going to take those same 4 deep breaths. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. And 4. And slowly but surely letting ourselves back up. One hand to the knee, one hand to the ankle. Unfold the leg in front of us. Bring the other knee, other leg to meet it. Shake out those knees. Then flex the feet and point and flex and point. Circle the ankles in one direction and then the other direction. All right. And now, let's take the soles of our feet together, shall we? And let our knees fall open as far as they can. You may notice differences in your hip flexibility. I know I certainly do. My left hip is far more flexible. So this knee goes almost all the way down to the floor. And this knee, not so much. I have to push it down a little bit to get it down to that same level of stretch. And that just has to do with my flexibility in my right hip versus my left hip. So totally normal, totally natural. There are ways to try and build more flexibility in the same ways that there are ways to try and strengthen our weaker sides, stuff like that. There are always ways to address them. But it's also important to remember, always remember, that we're just not symmetrical creatures. At the end of the day, we are not going to have one-to-one correlations of strength in our various limbs, flexibility, etc., etc. And that's okay, all right? Symmetry is, fine and beautiful, but it is not the only form of beauty. All right, so our feet are together, and we want to get a nice stretch in the hips by folding over, but we don't want to just curve over like this, because that keeps our lower backs very far away from our thighs, and so we're not going to get an actual good stretch there. So what I want you to do is try and take a nice flat back position, and then walk one hand at a time forward, trying as hard as you can to maintain that flat back. You're not going to be able to maintain it perfectly. You can already see the curve in my back, but you can also tell that I am actively pushing my lower back down towards my thighs. And so I'm going to go as far as I can, and then I'll let my head curve over, okay? And that just helps us to intensify the stretch a little bit. If you have anyone else in the space with you, this is an exercise that can really benefit from somebody just putting a knee sort of in your mid back and just helping to add a little additional pressure, okay? But we make do. So everybody, feet together, trying to maintain that flat back as best as you can as you walk your hands forward as far as you can, and then let yourself fold over, shake that neck out just to make sure you're not clenching the neck muscles. And let's take our 4 deep breaths right here. Here we go. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. bring your chin down to your chest. Roll your head to one side, ear pointing down towards the shoulder, then back, through the center and to the other side. And just repeat that a couple of times. And now actually, from a neutral position, bring that ear down towards your shoulder, one arm up, place it on the side of your head. I'm not even pulling down. I'm just letting the added weight of my hand intensify the stretch of my scalings, okay? Breathe, just a couple of breaths here. And then release the hand first, and then bring the head back up, and then to the other side, okay? So again, I'm not pulling. I am letting the weight of my hand and arm do most of the work. All right, a couple of nice breaths here. Oh, that's a nice stretch. And then release the hand first. Make sure it's well away. And then lift the head back up. All right. Ah, nice, nice, nice. There we go. Okay. Whew. Ah, good class. Very good class. Very good class, my friends. I hope that you had fun. I hope you had fun going back through week 1 and just seeing how far you've come and how much easier it felt to do that week 1 program, having built up over the course of the month the way that you have. It's a really nice sort of, sorry, my glasses are I sat on them a couple of weeks ago, so they're already off kilter. I have barely had these. I don't think I've even had these for a year yet, and they're already freaking off kilter. Yeah, it's always good to have some periods in our training and in our movement where we get to sort of build towards a goal and then do that comparison and really give ourselves that object lesson of, wow, I am doing so much better at this than I used to. And even for me, it's really important. It's really important to come back to that and to remind myself of that. Particularly because the last month for me didn't go the way I had hoped in terms of my own training. And that was for a variety of factors that were totally out of my control. And to be clear, that's totally okay, because that's what happens in life. Shit comes up, you know, and we can't control it. And we have to learn how to navigate it. We have to learn how to rest when we need it. And we have to learn how to not be so hard on ourselves. And that's freaking hard. So I try to put a lot of focus on that here because I know that I struggle with it, and I am sure that plenty of you struggle with it. And we need more people who are helping to remind ourselves to be kind to ourselves. But this was lovely. This was lovely. It was nice to go back to that program, and I'm looking forward to doing some new programs, you know, not next week, but the week after, as we head back into sort of more normal programming. Maybe find some new exercises while I'm on my rest week. Very exciting. And just, you know, build out some more plans for the channel. Whew. Wow, plans for the channel. Yeah. All right, my friends. Wow, this was a good class. We've got 2 more classes coming up this week. On Friday at 6 p.m., we've got functional home fitness, where we use we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. And then on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. is the weekend kickoff, which is our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. So please join for either or both of those classes. In both of them, we will be going back to our week 1 April powers and just seeing how awesome we are. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All those handles will be in my end cards, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all the VODs from these streams, so you never have to miss a class, even if you can't make the live cast. So definitely head over there and subscribe. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I do have a Coffee account for one-time donations, or you can subscribe to this channel if you have the ability to support more long-term. Either way, your donations are always very much appreciated. And if you want to help keep growing this channel and this community, then please tell your friends, loved ones, co-workers, anyone looking for an awesome class. I stream 4 days a week. We have a great community here. We have so much fun, so much fitness. It's good times, so the more the merrier. All right, finish off your water and make sure to hydrate, make sure to get some food, take that celebratory post-workout shower, and I will see you all back here again on Friday. Mwah! Have a great night.